You might be able to have that, but you can have Cardi B singing WAP at the Grammys. That's okay.
Yes, that's a whole nother.
That's a whole different podcast. Sorry, Cardi
We
B.
just cut right down the middle. Guys, welcome to the Built by Vitality podcast. I am Steve Pinkerton with your host,
Philip Lewis.
That sounded good.
It sounded really good. I think we should switch it from now on.
Philip got pretty excited. Today's episode, we are going to talk about the truth about the work-life balance. I have went back and forth on this over the years, and I was laying in bed this morning at about 4:45, and I thought, gosh, I'm going to change my mind again about it.
At 4:45, were you laying awake thinking about this, or did you think about it like in a dream?
Awake. Awake. This past weekend, I was on vacation. Sounds weird saying that. And it made me think about that as well.
How did your vacation go? Did anything happen at the gym like it normally does?
The gym didn't flood. We had a electrical issue. We had a new dishwasher installed, and the gentleman who installed it, I believe, had never done it before, but he stayed at Holiday Inn the night before and was throwing knives in my GFI, popped my GFI. So that was, I wish we could record the podcast of the conversation I had with the electrician. He's not an electrician, with the contractor who did that. Okay. Because there was a lesson in semantics that I think went really well.
Yeah.
He said, I hooked up your dishwasher. I installed it. I said, oh, so I can run my dishwasher now. He said, no. I said, well, then it's not hooked up. Okay. So anyway, other than that,
Smooth.
I
handled
smooth
everything
sailing.
well.
Yep, Philip was in charge. We went down to Key West, 3 days. I was ready to come home in a day and a half. Not because of the company. It was great. I saw my family, had some friends down there. It was, I'm just, like when you were picked last for kickball, I'm picked last for vacations. I'm just not the guy you want to take on vacation. Like when everyone's like,
I can see that.
Yeah, it's not, I get it. But we dropped into CrossFit Mile Zero, which was a cool spot down there, one of the only gyms in that area of Key West. It's been a while since I went to someone else's box, so that was kind of fun. But yeah, I was ready to get back, and that again kind of sparked this thought of really balance. There's so much talk about it, and we talked about Elon Musk and how he was swung one direction with it, and he said, hey, don't do this, don't be like me. But my view is simple. It's a very slippery slope. If you're not going to be, to one side, there's obsession, mm-hmm. and to the other side, I guess before I tell you what my word is for that, like there's two sides to it. There's the obsessive, and then there's what would be swinging the opposite direction.
You don't care.
Yeah, like
easy going, just if whatever happens.
Laid back.
It's life.
I would say I'm going to coin that as mediocrity. So like you're either one side is obsessiveness and one side is mediocrity, and you don't really want either. So you try and walk this line in the middle. That is a very, very fine line, mm-hmm. because when you look at how slippery it can get, just think about, again, the three things that we talk about a lot: nutrition, fitness, and business. When have you been most successful in nutrition? When you've leaned more towards obsessiveness or leaned more towards laid back mediocrity?
Obsessiveness.
Yeah.
And eventually, once you get used to it, you can back off a little, but you still got to be on that other side.
How many times have you heard someone say, I'm going to start when I get back from vacation. I'm going to start next week. I'm going to start in January.
That's what 90% of people that I know say. They just say, I'm going to start Monday. I'm going to do kind of whatever this weekend. Monday's going to be my start. Or New Year's, that's a big one. September, they plan their New Year's resolution, but they could already start it and be months ahead, but they wait a little bit.
Yeah. And when do they fall off? They fall off at the first break in the routine, usually. That's the first, they've been doing it for 2 weeks, and they had a rough patch, and they took 2 days off. We'll talk about the nutrition part first. They went out and had a couple really bad days, made some bad choices, and they're just like, I'm going to throw in the towel. I can't do it. And that's why it's so hard to walk that fine line with nutrition, because very rarely can someone get the results they want and be laid back about it. Now, what you can do is change your expectations. But that's something people don't normally, they're not willing to do. At least they're not willing to admit that.
Yeah.
Someone will say, I want this result, and you know what? I just couldn't get there because my work schedule or whatever. Well, the reality is they don't really want that result. They like how it sounds coming off of their tongue, but they don't like that. They don't want that result.
Yeah.
And if they would just say, you know what? It's not as important to me as I thought, looking the way that I want to look or being the weight that I would think I want to be at, that's okay.
Yeah.
Change your expectation, and then you can be more laid back. But if you're not going to change your expectation, now you're just going to continue setting yourself up for failure with whatever it is you're looking to do. The same thing about fitness. Most people will tell you the most success they've had in a fitness program is when they have been the most consistent. Well, how do you build consistency? A routine. How do you build a routine? You have to be disciplined. You have to say no to things that are going to get in the way of that routine. That is the beginning of obsessiveness.
I was watching a podcast the other day, or listening to it on YouTube, came in the suggested videos. And this guy said you can relate it, he called it a flow chart or whatever, flow way of thinking. You do it with working out, anything really. If you go, it's a chart is like a 90-degree, whatever, couple lines, and in the middle just had this nice kind of straight, little bit wavy, and he called it flow. He said he said with most things, people go out of that, above it, and they go into anxiety or stress. So if something is stressful or creates anxiety, I don't want to do it again, or I'm going to have to really talk you into it. He said if you go below that flow, you create boredom, and you're like, man, this sucks. Like, I'm not going to do this again. Like, whatever. This is boring.
Yeah.
He said you got to find that middle part. He said, but what most people do with most things, they go into anxiety usually, or stress, and it's a mental thing. It's much easier just to stop doing that. You got to find that flow, what works for them, and stick with it.
It's almost expectation. If the expectation is too aggressive, then you're going to find yourself in that anxiety-riddled
You stress out
north
about
end of
it.
that.
Yeah.
If you don't have any goals, you're going to find yourself just kind of meandering through this, lazy, monotonous, boring life. And
he said it like Tetris. If I gave you Tetris and I put it on the hardest level, you'd play for like 4 or 5 minutes, and you'd be like, man, this sucks. I want to do this again. But we'll do it again tomorrow. And you'd be like, I don't want to do that.
Yep.
But if I put it on the easiest level, you'd be like, man, this is boring. You got something else.
Yep.
So you can find that middle spot and do it more often. He said consistency over intensity he was a big believer in for things like that.
Yeah, and I think when you start looking this to business, it gets a little bit more muddy. There's some more gray area. But when I've been most successful in the business part of it, it's when I've been immersed into whatever it is I'm doing, when I can't stop thinking about what it is that I'm doing, when I never let go of it. I never shut it down. That's when we're engaged. That's when things are happening. And rarely will you find something that you obsess over that you don't enjoy. So I used to say, man, I became so obsessive over competing. It took over my life. But you know what? I loved it. I loved it at the time. And I probably swung the pendulum too far to obsessiveness, but I loved what I was doing.
Yeah.
Now I get into business and I love what I do. That's why most things that I set up revolve around my work schedule, because I really enjoy it. And what I did was I changed my expectation and said, okay, I'm not going to change the amount of time I spend working because I enjoy that. What I'm going to do is build my day to involve the things that I was missing as a part of that. So my kids get off the school bus here at the gym, so I can see them after the school. I'll have time set aside to do these things. I'll travel. Like this weekend, I'm going to Atlanta for a volleyball tournament. So I'll spend 4 days with my oldest and my wife, and listen to. If you haven't listened to the parents ruining their kids' experiences, I will give you a firsthand version of that today, this weekend, because I will have 4 days of that nonsense. But I love watching Reagan play volleyball. So I've built my time to include my kids and my family.
You didn't back off from what you were originally doing.
And the reason I think it's very important to look at it that way is, if you don't enjoy it, it's easy to swing it the other direction. I would be, you can't wait until the weekend. You can't wait until Friday afternoon. Imagine going through your life and it's Monday and you're already thinking about, gosh, I cannot wait until Friday.
Yeah.
And there's nothing going on. Not traveling anywhere.
Statistically, they say most people experience most heart attacks are on Sunday night, afternoon, or Monday mornings. And then when they research this, they're saying your anxiety and stress level gets really high around Sunday. You're like, man, I got to go back to work tomorrow. And they stress on this from Sunday afternoon, Monday morning. They're probably running late. They're rushing to work. They don't want to go there. All kinds of things are going on, and your stress is extremely high in between that time and then you look forward to the weekend again. So
my view was, if you told me, okay, you know what, I'm too obsessive with work, I'm going to take myself out of some of those situations where I'm going to spend less time at work. Here's the problem. I am wired the way that I am. You're not going to change that. For me, if you take me out of work and you put me in Key West, I don't care what the environment is, there's going to be 2 days that go by and I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to go home.
Or the whole time you're there, you're still thinking about work stuff.
And I think you have to disconnect. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you work 24/7. I'm just saying that we don't need to fight it. We don't need to force us into this, okay, I need to force the balance. No, we're having a hard time finding balance because we love what we do. The opposite end of this is we have a ton of balance and we hate what we do, and it's 80-20, the 80-20 rule. 80% of the time you're working, 20% of the time you've got, your Friday afternoon, Saturday, Sunday. Imagine if, for people that don't like the obsessiveness like me, that like my situation, people would say, oh, you're too obsessive over work. Okay, but I'm 80% of the time, I'm loving it. My 20% where I'm not working, I'm not as happy. Okay, so great. You have a ton of balance and you're okay with stepping away and seeking out other things. Great. Most likely, you're loving 20% of your life, and the other 80% while you're at work, you're miserable.
You're dreading.
So I think if you view it through a different lens and say, I get it. I'm happy that I'm obsessive because I'm doing something I love. And here's what I would tell you. If you are somebody sitting back saying, man, I really don't like what I'm doing, then fine. Too many of us don't have a plan when that happens. I've seen too many people just constantly complain and whine about their situation. Well, you know what? Let's put something in place that gets me out of it. Let's say, okay, I hate what I do. What do I love doing? All right, let's say I want to be a I want to work in a park service. I want to be in the outdoors. Okay, great. You do some reverse engineer planning that says, how much do I need to make? How much do I need to live off of? What do I need to live off of? If I'm in this career path, what do I need? And you figure it out. You say, you know what, I need $40,000 a year and whatever. I don't need a house. I'll figure out. Whatever. I'll sleep in the back of my truck. Whatever that is. You lay out that scenario. Well, then you use whatever job you're in right now that you hate or that you're not happy with as a means to the end. You set it up and say, okay, I need to save X amount of money. That's my trigger point to move to this next occupation, the next step, the next stage in my life. And if you do that and you have something that's now driving you, guess what? You might not love what you do, but you know what you're going to love doing is that process along the way of getting closer to whatever it is that you want to do or that you think will make you happy. Because if you don't, here's what's going to happen. If you don't have a goal, if you don't have a plan, you're going to live through every day miserable and unhappy, complaining and whining about how, what a bad break you caught. And you'll just continue. It's a hamster wheel. It'll never end. And let me tell you something. I'm not going to get into the economics of this, but that's probably what our government wants us to do. They want us to be tied to a job that is telling you got to be here. This is how much money you can make. It's just enough to,
barely get by,
pay the bills, get by, go on vacation 2 weeks out of the year, and you just stay in that hamster wheel. And maybe, if you're lucky, you can have 4th of July to get a barbecue. I'm just kidding.
That's true.
I shouldn't have went there.
No,
I apologize. But I'm not sorry. But
you're not sorry.
If we're lucky, we can.
You might be able to have that, but you can have Cardi B singing WAP at the Grammys. That's okay.
Yes, that's a whole nother.
That's a whole different podcast. Sorry, Cardi B.
We just cut right down the middle. No, but the reality is, if you're lucky, at 65 or 70, you'll be able to retire. And you can enjoy it for nerves will be years. Shot because you've been miserable and unhappy for 30 years. And it's just that to me, that's not the end game. So what I'm telling you is you figure it out. Only you know what's going to make you happy. If Philip did not like working in the media and doing what he's doing for Vitality, his only game plan should be how much money do I need to save to get to my next opportunity?
That's what I did to get here.
Yeah.
So with the jobs I was working before, and it kind of started out obsessive when I started doing photo and video stuff. Started out with photos. I remember I had this little tablet. Oh my God, it was a piece of crap. This little tablet. And if I went out and took a photo somewhere, I couldn't wait to get home to edit this thing. So after working all day, I would sit there, and my tablet took so long to edit one photo that sometimes I would edit one photo for 3 to 4 hours sitting on the couch at night. So I'd work 10, 12 hours, come home, rush, eat something, and I could not wait to sit down and edit one photo for 3 or 4 hours because I couldn't wait to see the final product. And I kept doing that, and I couldn't stop myself. I was like, man, I look forward to that, but I did not look forward to getting up and going to work the next day.
I think most people have that. Most people have something, and I guess I can make a generalization and say if you don't have something, like let's say you're miserable at your job and you don't have something that is deep inside like that just brings you excitement, that like editing pictures or photography, then man, I don't know what to tell you.
I think most people do.
But I think there's some that don't. And I think if you don't
know what it is,
then they've just accepted over the years that, you know what?
This is what it is.
This is what it is. I don't have a desire. I don't have the discipline. I don't have the drive to go do anything else. And that's okay.
I would ask those people, I'd be like, hey, what's something you would do besides your current job? What's something you would do for free if you could pick? If tomorrow you could pick it and you do it every day, you could do it for free just because you kind of enjoy it, what would it be? And if they say, oh, I'd probably pick this, that's probably pretty close to what they like. And then if that free thing is it, try to find a way to get paid doing
Yeah.
it.
And
that's the closest you could figure it out, I guess.
And I think that it's so easy to have this like victim mindset of, you know what, I just didn't get the break that I needed. I mean, how many times did you email me and say, hey man, if you ever need anything with media or whatever,
About
or coaching,
60 times. It
you
was
know,
great.
and
It was like,
And it
I
just-
say just a reminder, I'm still here if you need me, bud.
And you
But
know
just
what?
do that.
it just the opportunity, you never know when it's gonna come. And I've said this a million times. One of my favorite quotes: "The opportunity of a lifetime must take place within the lifetime of that opportunity." So, when that opportunity does present itself, so many people are waiting for
Take it.
literally to get kicked in the teeth to say, "Hey, this is a great opportunity for
Yeah.
you," and they miss it because someone's not there saying, "Hey, Philip,
You better-
this is the one you've been waiting
Yeah.
for." You'll see it, and you're like, "Oh man, it's just not the right
don't
time."
know.
It's never the right time. You just have to have but if you can put that plan in place, if you can have it, and you start to say, "Okay, here is what I want to do, and this is what's going to make me happy," why would you not go after that?
I figure out the rest later. I'd
Yeah.
rather be happy. When I sat in your office and you first talked to me about the job, I remember you said, "Hey man, at the end of the conversation, you take the weekend to think about it, this and that. We'll talk about Monday." I said, "I'll take it."
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
I said in your office. You was like, "Well, you can take the weekend and think about it." I said, "No, I'll appreciate it, but I'll take it."
And the other thing that was interesting is people are so concerned about the money part of it, and rightly so.
That's true,
I'm not telling you to go work for free, but here's what I'm telling you: when you make yourself irreplaceable, it doesn't matter what. I didn't know. I told you. I said, "Look, man, I don't know how we're going to structure this. I know that I will make it work, and I know that we can have the relationship together that will make the numbers work. You just let's figure this out. Let's see what it looks like, and
Let's do it together,
and let's just
figure
do
it
it. And you know, and I've made mistakes along the way. No business owner has got their employment compensation packages right from the beginning. Nobody. And if they tell you they have, they're lying through their teeth. Because, I screwed it up. I screwed it up with Laura for probably 4 or 5 years. And, now we've got it right. And I think that one of the reasons I would hope that our staff here has been here as long as they have, averaging like 6 years with me, is because I try to take care of them as best I can. And they know that. And I think that when you find these opportunities, stop worrying so much about what your starting pay is going to be.
Or what if
Think about what you want to do, and then you put your foot in the door and say, "Hey, I'm just going to do the best I can do, and I'm going to make myself so important that I'll set the conditions to my pay a year from now." Because if you love what you do, you're going to swing that pendulum to the obsessive side, and that's what bosses want. They want someone that loves what they do, like you. That, look, I'll come in here. I don't care what time Philip comes in the office. I don't care what he's doing. I know that he's doing what he needs to do, whether he stays till 9 o'clock at night and shows up at 11 in the morning. I don't care. And when you have that trust with your people because you know that they love what they do, you don't have to micromanage them. The people you have to micromanage are the ones
that don't want to do
that aren't doing what they really want to do, and then you have to force them to do these things. Nobody wants to I don't want to hold people's hands and coddle them and tell them, "Hey, you know what? I really wish you'd, clean up after your class. I really wish that you would wipe down the equipment. I really wish that you'd get here on time." That's ridiculous. We're adults. We don't need to be told those things. And if you do, you're not ever going to set the condition of your employment. You will be told what you're going to be doing, and you'll be stuck in that rut for the length of that time.
It's kind of like procrastination. I heard Eric Thomas say one time, a lady asked him, she was in college, an older lady, and she said, I'll have a paper, I have something to do, and I always tell myself to go ahead and do it, but I just put it off to the last minute. I always procrastinate. And he said, "I don't believe in that word." And she's like, "What are you talking about?" He said, "If I told you hey, next Friday at 4 a.m., you need to meet me somewhere and I got $1 million cash for you in a box, would you be there at 4? She said, oh, God, I'll be there way before. He said, yeah, because it's really important to you. You really want that. He said, that paper ain't that important to you, so it's not that you procrastinate. It's not important to you, so you put it off. You don't care about it. It doesn't excite you.
And that's, again, verbiage. It's the self-talk that you're using. It's the excuses that we come up with to justify our actions. If we said, hey, you know what? I'm not going to come to the gym because looking good naked is not important to me. Most people aren't going to say that.
Yeah.
What they're going to say is, yeah, I'm not going to come to the gym. I got hounded at work. I got a ton of stuff that came up. You know what came up? Solitaire. You know what came up? An hour and a half lunch break where they went and got 3 beers and sat at the bar at what's that? Twin Peaks. You know, that's what came up. And that at that point didn't seem like a big decision, but now that decision trickles down into other things. Now here's the thing. For me, being obsessive, I'm never going to apologize. When people say, oh man, we should go grab coffee. Okay, whatever. I'm not leaving the gym to go sit and have coffee. Now, if you want to, what I've done is, if you want to come hang out and talk and whatever, then you're going to come work out with me, because that's what I love doing. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to change my routine, because I've put things in place so that I can get everything done in my day and still have time for other things. I think so many people sacrifice the things that they love doing for things that they feel like they have to do or they don't love doing. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one thing. Don't feel bad. The bottom line about this today is, I don't feel bad about being obsessed with what I do. I don't feel bad that people might look at my life and say, man, there's no balance. Because for me, when I change my nutrition, and I'm very disciplined with that, and I want to make sure that I'm following what I have been prescribed to by Jess, I don't feel bad for that. Mm-hmm. I'm choosing to do that. I'm choosing to be a little obsessive over it, because I understand if I am passive with this, or I start to get lazy with it, I will swing drastically the other side. I am an all or nothing person. That's just the way that I am. Yeah. I can't change that. And I'm not going to feel bad for that anymore. There's people that won't eat healthy because they're afraid of what other people will say, or when they see them maybe measuring their food or carrying their Tupperware with their pre-made meal in it.
You're weird.
You're weird.
Why are you doing that? You're not eating Little Caesars and Doritos? What's wrong with you?
And what we're seeing is, now I am, what that says is, I am more concerned with what your view is of me than what my own view is. What your view is more important than my results. And I think if you can look at this and say, you know what, I'm going to surround myself with people that support me. And those people that you surround yourself with, hopefully, are doing something that they love. Because here's the thing. I don't want to be around you if you are chasing mediocrity. If you are not obsessed with what it is that you're doing, then you're probably going to pull me down. Yeah. And you don't want that. Who's happy? Who do you want to be around that hates their
everything?
Every time they see you is like,
it's negative.
I'm done with this whole life thing. This thing's overrated, man. This sucks. I don't want that. Mm-hmm. If I wanted that, turn on the dang news. I don't care if it's Fox or CNN or NBC, whatever. If you want the world is coming to an end view, just watch the news.
I had guys I used to work with, I'm like, man, it could be worse. And they'd be like, I don't know about that. I think it's there. Yeah. I'm like, no, it really can.
And that's a dangerous mindset to get into. So the gist of this, I rambled a little bit as always, but the gist is, look, guys, don't beat yourself up for being a little obsessive. That is probably a very positive trait when it comes to being successful. And you know what? If you're not obsessive, then find something that you obsess about and put a plan in place to get there. If you do not have a plan, it will never happen. 0% chance. And you might say, well, it's only a 30% probably, or a coin flip if I do put a plan in place. What do you want? A 0% chance or a coin flip?
No, a coin flip all day.
All day long.
All day.
Just put it, put it in place. So I hope I think a lot of people that our listeners, they are obsessive over something that they're doing, because it's that type of personality is hungry for podcasts and learning and education. So hopefully this resonates with some of you guys. But until next time, this is the Built by Vitality podcast.
Yep.
And next time, we're going to get the Mel Gibson photo in the picture.
Okay. All right.
I need it.
Okay.
I need it.
I'll set it up.
All right. Guys, have a great day.